And it's just the egos, man, and greed. And I don't know, man. It was so much fun when we was banging on the motherfucking project hallways, spitting beautiful poetry. It was so much fun then. And we was broke as hell, drinking 40s and smoking weed. So that was the most fun time, you know what I'm saying? So
Flowers for the Dead. I want to ask you about that. Beautiful song. How come Tony, was you cool with Tony Sunshine at that point? When you put Flowers out? How come you wasn't on the song? Just curious.
Because it wasn't it wasn't meant to be for him to be on that song. Basically, thinking back, I mean, that was a song that I did that song before Pun even passed away. So see that song, that was just a beat that I picked. I forgot who did the beat too. But anyway, I had like a beat tapes, and I picked some beats, and I was going through the beats with Domingo, and I was in my studio session. Domingo was the actual dude who sang the hook. He's a salsa singer. He never had done English music before that time. So I seen that, I heard that song, we heard that beat, and we was like, yeah, let's do that one together. Because, he wanted to do like a English joint. He wanted to do something in my album. So I was like, yeah, because he was dope. Like his voice was dope. And, I felt that beat somehow. Then we started doing, because that was the Young and the Restless. Ding, 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 ding. So we had to pay for that sample. But then I just started humming the shit. And he started doing the backgrounds and shit. And then, gave us like an hour. I wrote the hook and he was singing. I was coaching him with it. And we didn't even know what the hell we had until we really I heard this nigga just singing inside the booth, and I heard his voice and I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? As far as like how he takes it, it makes, he brought that out of it. And it was a magical moment, man. But at the end of the day, Pun heard that song. Like that was just Flowers for the Dead. And I got that because of everybody at that time was doing like a rest in peace song. And I came out with that, but the artist, I forgot the artist with the. Anyway, my favorite like rest in peace song was DRS. You know what I'm saying, Gangsta Link. So I wanted my album to be like shaped to that. You know what I'm saying, give respect to the dead, give respect to the homies we lost. You know what I'm saying, it was a big thing to throw the 40 over and spill some 40 for the homies that passed away. So I had never lost somebody when as far as my inner circle, when it was close to me like that. So even Pun heard that. I played it for him. That was one of the first 5 songs that got completed. So I went to Pun's studio. I think it was a Sony's, and I let him hear my 5 joints. It was Still Telling Lies. It was Hey Mama. It was Flowers for the Dead, but it wasn't dedicated to Pun. You know what I'm saying? It was never dedicated to Pun. And then I remember it was him and Liza, his wife, inside the studio, and I played that song. And he was like, that shit is dope. He looked at me and was like, this shit is dope. And then I stepped out, and then Liza came to me and said, you wrote that about him, right? I said, hell no. What you talking about? I wrote it about him. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just, like, the first verse, like, to him, we've been best friends ever since we were little kids. Like, all of that shit, like, was there. Like, that was there, that first verse. I changed the second verse. I changed the second verse. Second verse was about a chick that died in a car crash in the original one. And the last verse did the same. So the only thing I changed was make it more to Pun after he passed was the second verse, but the first shit was right there. And I was like, nah, you crazy? That was just, I'm the type of, I just envisioned myself going through that emotion of me losing somebody I love, and I go deep when I start writing. But yeah, she had asked me that, and I said hell no. And then later on, he passed away, and I dedicated that to him. That song.
That's great.
And it fits so crazy, like it's perfect. It's eerie to me, man, to this day.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to even think of myself like, it was a premonition. It was me that I'm fucking like, you know what I'm saying, predicting the future. I don't want to think of that shit like that, because it's like that. If I had the power with it, I would have never. What about if I didn't do that song and maybe he wouldn't have passed away? So it's like crazy. Like, don't tell me that shit. But it was that crazy and that eerie, and Yeah, Tony Sunshine. He was in a lot of songs in my 24K. He doesn't take acknowledgement to that to this day, but I put him in a lot of songs, so he could say that Joe was the one that brought him out or whatever, or Pun, which Pun was, but I was before Pun. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I was the one that I was working on my album, and I was fighting for actually Tony when it was Terror Squad album. So it was a lot of things, but they don't want to remember it because I don't think they're allowed to. And some of them already chose to say, fuck Cuban Link instead of, embracing the fact that Cuban Link was a part of their actual beginnings. And Cuban Link did a lot for them, you know what I'm saying, in the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Because I was definitely one of the first three MCs that represented Terror Squad and was out there like that. And we did a good job, man. We did a good job instead of all the bad stuff, behind the scenes stuff. But we was out there. We put a picture on that. That was a beautiful picture for the world to celebrate.
So how did you and Pop get hooked up? How did you guys link up? Pop, you said you was a OG out in Chicago. You said you did some time for a while, came out. How did you guys build your relationship and get hooked up?
Shout out to Pop was a spoken word, man. So he's into the spoken word, so he's like a poet. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely a poet, and that's how I actually got with him, because of he had hit me in Facebook, and he had sent me one of his, a couple of his poetries, and I was like, yo, my dude, you so dope. You know what I'm saying? Because I always loved that too, and he had that voice, he had that, you know what I'm saying? So that as an artist, you know what I'm saying? I was humbly told him how dope he was, and he appreciated it, and just from the creative part of it, of who he was, you know what I'm saying, the time he did in jail, and the pain and what he was representing in his songs and his spoken words, as far as that, it captivated me on who he was. You know what I'm saying? I always I was a fan of that, even through the Def Comedy Jam stand up that they was doing, Def Poetry, I think. Yeah. So I was always a fan of that, and then I heard Pop, and I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of poet, type of poems that give you hair bumps. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I love that type of shit. So then from there on, we just clicked, and then we started kicking it on the phone, and he knew certain people, and I'm over here, with him, and then he invited me to a show, and we got like live, and we just vibed on some more real nigga shit. I mean, saying, well, go ahead, Pop. You tell him your rest, man. Tell him the rest. I've been talking a lot.
Oh, that was dope. I'm over here listening. I'm still intrigued with the whole. I got brain fucked by the fuck that Pun, man, rest his soul, got to listen to the day. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
That was a dope interview, too, by the way. Hip Hop Uncensored guy. That was dope.
Appreciate it.
So me and Cuban pretty much link. Shout out to let me turn this shit off. We at the station. We at the iHeartRadio. Pop on the iHeartRadio station out here in Chicago.
That's a badass chair you sitting in, by the way, too. I was going to say that. God,
thank you, bro. Thank you very much. So me and Cuban, man, met pretty much. Salute to Gilly Delgado, man, who's worked
That's
with
right. Gilly.
who's worked with DMX. I met Gilly while I was touring with DMX. Okay. So I was doing poetry and spoken word at the time. I had opened up for Redman, Method Man, Slick Rick. And I wanted to go to New York. Before I went to New York, a couple of weeks before, me and Cuban had started communicating. Next thing you know, I was in the Bronx. We vibed. Next thing you know, man, we were doing music. We did The Last Supper. That's on World Star Hip Hop. That was pretty much the introduction to me starting to saucing up beats. You know what I'm saying? Attack beats differently. I dropped Chemo Sabi after that. Next time me and Cuban was on a rodeo, I finally had a whole showpiece of rap music. And the rest is history, man. I've worked with a lot of artists. I got a track with Hypno Carlito from OTF. I got a track with 8K or Do or Die. I got a track with Cold Hearted Crucial Conflict. And I'm working, you know what I'm saying? I'm having fun after 20 years of being in a cage.
Talk about that experience if you don't mind. How were you going in and coming out, and how that kind of changed you?
Well, at first, man, I mean, I went in a kid. I was 19. I was uneducated. I had no GED whatsoever. Could you play that start from there? So, when I first went in, I was a knucklehead. You know what I'm saying? It took 10 years for me to grow up and figure out, wait a minute, I need to get back to my people, back to society. During the first 10 years, poetry saved my life. After I got into with the administration and they threw me in segregation 2-3 times, while I did 4.5 years in the hole of segregation, I discovered poetry and how to write and get down with the spoken word shit. So I got my GED after like 10 years of being locked up. I got my associates in science, and I got my ass back to society, man. My first year, I gave back to the community. I won a few poetry awards, but I won a big Chicago award that I credit to the kids, man. I came back. I was a little culture shocked at the beginning, but I adapted pretty quickly, man. I just did what I did in the penitentiary, mind my business, stood in my lane, and always try to outdo myself. I won a humanitarian award, if you could see it, for the Sabo Museum in Chicago for creating over 38 programs of creative expression for high ultra-risk kids through the gift of creative expression. We were doing workshops once a month. And it's been a process, man, of doing 20 years and checking out this society and where hip hop is supposed to be now, and I missed out on a lot, but I'm catching up, man. I'm having a great time, and ain't no bitterness in me at all, man. I love being out. You know what I'm saying?
Word. Dope.